Stakeholders interact more to ensure smooth elections as clock ticks. Political parties in Edo signed peace accord. And on the program today, how will the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, be utilized as it is 15 days before Nigerians go to the polls to elect new leaders and representatives? Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Panorama, reaching you from Benin. I am Agatha Egwari Ojo. A very warm welcome. Don't forget you can join us live on our website, nta.ng/live, or other social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Our President Muhammadu Buhari has approved establishment of a 22-member Presidential Transition Committee to facilitate and manage the 2023 transition program. He has also signed Executive Order 14 of 2023 on the facilitation and management of the presidential transition. A statement from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation notes that the Executive Order 14 provides legal framework that would enable a seamless transition of power from one presidential administration to another, which is part of President Buhari's legacy. The Council has Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, as chairman. Members include Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Solicitor General of the Federation, permanent secretaries from the SGF's office, and some key ministries. Membership of the Council also includes National Security Advisor, Chief of Defense Staff, Inspector General of Police, Directors General of the National Intelligence Agency and State Security Services, as well as 2 representatives to be nominated by the President-elect. The Presidential Transition Council will be inaugurated by the SGF on Tuesday, 14th February 2023 at 12 noon in the conference hall of the SGF's office. The Ministry of Defense has upscaled activities in the armed forces to support INEC and relevant agencies to ensure a secure 2023 general elections. This was highlighted during a media interactive session with the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense. Similarly, the federal government has provided several platforms for all the services to further secure the nation's land, sea, and air domain. Ministry of Defense reassures Nigerians of their safety as security agencies are putting in their best to fight against all forms of crime. Collation officers this year's general elections after taking an oath of neutrality. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu announced this at a meeting with Vice Chancellors of Federal Universities in Abuja. Mie Ogidi reports.
Constituency, as it were, having an engagement with Vice Chancellors of Federal Universities to participate as returning officers for state elections and collation officers at the presidential poll.
As in previous elections, we have requested each university for a specific number and category of academic staff as contained in my letter to the Vice Chancellors.
A national assignment that comes with a caveat.
I must learn that staff who are card-carrying members or have participated in partisan politics should not be nominated. Similarly, those who will not be involved in partisan politics but are known to have obvious political leanings should not be nominated. Furthermore, those who have been convicted of electoral malpractice must be excluded.
At the end of this exercise, we will be proud to have contributed our quota. And that is our commitment to the development of this country.
Deal sealed. Being the INEC chairman, another exclusive responsibility awaits Mahmoud Yakubu.
There is only one returning officer as provided in the Constitution, a returning officer for the presidential election. And that person is Mahmoud Yakubu. So I thank you very much and God bless you.
God bless Nigeria also. Mie Ogede, NTA News.
Election matters. Political parties fielding candidates for the general elections have signed a peace accord. It was initiated by INEC and the police in Edo State to promote peaceful electioneering activities before, during and after the elections. Goodluck Inaini has details.
It is less than 3 the conduct of the general elections and political parties in the two are making last-minute efforts as they present their manifestos and canvass votes from the electorate ahead of the February 25 general elections. This event is meant to draw the attention of candidates in complying with the electoral laws and carry out their campaigns based on issues that are of significant concern to Nigerians. This peace accord seeks to commit the political parties to peaceful election campaigns and to ensure that candidates accept the outcome of the election as long as it is adjudged to be free, fair, and credible, and in the event of any doubt, resort to the judicial process.
We want to make people know that there is life after election. People should not take this election as a do or die affair.
And we should be mindful of what we say and how we conduct ourselves during the election.
The representatives of the political parties lauded the initiative as they pledged to abide by the accord.
We had that conviviality with other political parties, and we are ready to let that translate.
With the technology that has just been introduced, we are expecting that the process will be even more transparent.
Our goal has always been peace and transparency.
Heads of various security agencies, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders described the initiative as timely and urged all concerned to respect the accord. In Benin, Goodluck Inaini, NTA News.
On Saturday, 4th February, INEC conducted mock accreditation across some selected polling units in the country to test functionality of the bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS machines procured for the 2023 general elections, using a few number of qualified voters. Against this background, correspondent again Goodluck Inaini spoke with the cross-section of the public who lauded the initiative, but not without some reservations.
Model Voting Authentication System, BVAS, is a device introduced by INEC which allows for accreditation of voters through biometrics capturing, uploading of polling results, and other functions. BVAS functionality is guided by the Electoral Act 2022, including the 1999 Constitution as amended, which gives INEC the exclusive right, power, and mandate to organize, undertake, and supervise elections that are captured within the confines of the Constitution. From record, INEC has demonstrated the use of BVAS device in Anambra, Osun, and Ekiti governorship elections with varying degrees of experience in terms of its functionality. Nigerians, while reacting to the INEC mock accreditation exercise conducted nationwide through the use of BVAS machine, say the exercise has proven the Commission's commitment to deploying modern technology towards the conduct of the 2023 general elections to enhance the nation's electoral accountability.
BVAS is a milestone investment in the integrity of our electoral process. It seems to be more foolproof than what we are used to. So if it is well applied, people, the faith of people in the electoral process and therefore our democracy will be restored.
It was to test run the BVAS so that we don't fall into the same kind of problem that we've been falling into, the card reader machine, or that they're failing. So they want to see what are going to be the technical problems.
The mock should have been done everywhere. Because when you write mock examinations, it's all the students that write the examinations so that they have an opportunity to have a taste or a test of it. What about my village where you have pure illiterate mothers and fathers, and then you want them to come out on that day. They haven't seen the beavers before. They don't know how it works.
Department of INEC that is charged with publicity and public information, they should work, sensitize, educate and inform voters about the need of this. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
In spite of the warm acceptance of the technology, these respondents are worried about the efficiency of the device, considering what played out in Osun State governorship election, where overvoting was recorded despite the use of the technology.
Beavers is a very unique machine, and it is very difficult for you to cheat.
We are really going to teach our agent what to do. They should make sure that the machine is on 00000.
They say addressing the challenges arising from the trial run of the beavers will put the exercise in the right perspective for seamless conduct of the 2023 general elections. In Benin, good luck in NTA News.
And in the studio is the resident electoral commissioner, Edo State, Obo Ifanga. He will be talking to us all you need to know about the beavers. That's the bimodal voter accreditation system. Good afternoon, sir. You're welcome. Afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Panorama. All right. For starters, the mock accreditation, from that report, people asking that it could have been done everywhere for some people to at least see it for the first time or know how it works. As the resident electoral commissioner, how would you rate the exercise in Edo State? What would you say about it?
Okay, thank you. The primary purpose of the mock accreditation was for us to be sure that our device was functional, was suitable for purpose, and that is why we deployed it. It wasn't about everybody having an opportunity to see how it works. So we brought it out. A few persons in the polling units came and we did the mock accreditation with them. What the people should what should be of concern to the people is that when they come to vote, if they are qualified to vote, they'll be given the ballot to vote. Like I keep saying, voting is still manual. It's the accreditation that we are using the beavers for.
I was going to ask you that question because I was in the field the day of the mock accreditation, and there were people who came with their card thinking that when you put it in the beavers machine, you tick what the party you want to vote for, and that is it, and that's the electronic system we are all talking about. So.
Well, the beavers is a device for accreditation and for the transmission of results. It is not a voting machine. We are not doing electronic voting in Nigeria. We need to stress that fact. We are still doing manual voting, but the accreditation and the transmission of the results, accreditation of voters and transmission of results is what we use the electronic device for. So when people come to vote, when we finish accrediting them using the beavers, we will give them a physical ballot paper and we will show them a physical ballot box. They will still thumbprint physically on the ballot paper, fold it, and drop it in the ballot box. So it is still manual voting that we are doing, not electronic voting.
Okay, let's be specific. Or what would Nigerians actually see when they go to the polls on election day using the beavers? What would they be seeing?
So what they would see is that first they will come with their voter's card. They will present the voter's card to the electoral official there, who will confirm that that is a voter's card issued by INEC, and then check that they are registered to vote in that polling unit. Of course, there will be the list of voters that will be displayed there, so they can see that their name is on the list in that polling unit. And then with the information on their voter's card, they will pull up the information from the beavers by inserting their voter identification number into the beavers, so the information would come out. Now, the next thing is for us to confirm that this person who has brought a valid permanent voter's card issued by INEC is the owner of that identity. And so the person will run the fingerprint of the person. Most persons have 10 fingerprints. And when we did the registration, we captured their 10 fingerprints. And it would be, that information would be in the system. And then they'll run their fingers. Any of the fingers is enough to validate that that is the owner of that card, that identity. In the event none of the fingers matches with what we have in the system, we give the person a second opportunity, which is why we call it bimodal. So the second opportunity is to take the facials. So if we take the facials and it matches with what is in the system, the person can go ahead and vote, would be presented with voters with the ballot papers to go ahead and vote. But in the event that the fingerprints don't match and the facials don't match, then we can be sure conclusively that the person is not the owner of that identity and the person cannot vote.
Okay. Now, what happens at the end? That's after election.
Okay. Yes, somebody said that people should be sure that at the time we start, the beavers reach 0. That is a fact. Before we start, the presiding officer will explain to the people there about the use of the beavers and show to them that the beavers shows 0 accreditation at that point, just like they will show the ballot box as empty. So at the end of the voting, the beavers would record the number of persons who've been successfully accredited. So by the time we bring out the ballot papers and sort them and count them, the total number of ballot papers there should not be more than the total number of persons who've been accredited that shows on the beavers. Okay. And if it shows more than that, then the presiding officer can at that point cancel the result of that polling unit for overvoting.
Okay, let's. One of the respondents earlier raised issues of manipulation. I'll take a little peep into the Osun election and the judgment, the Supreme Court judgment.
Not
how
the
can this?
Court,
sorry,
the tribunal
judgment. So how can this be avoided?
Okay, now the tribunal had ruled that there was overvoting. What that means is that there were more votes than there were accredited voters in some polling units. So they had to cancel the results of those polling units. Now, assuming that that finding of fact is actually the fact, because why I'm saying so is because I know that the parties have appealed, the other party has appealed that to the Court of Appeal, and it may eventually get to the Supreme Court. But assuming that this finding is still upheld at those levels, what it means is that at the point of, in those respective polling units where there was overvoting, it means that there were more votes recorded than there were number of persons accredited to vote in that place. Yes. And so many things could have been responsible. It could be that the counting of the votes, there was an error in the counting of the votes, so it was more than what was in the beavers. But at that stage, the right thing for the presiding officer to have done there was to have cancelled the result of that polling unit. I don't know why that stage of the ward collation. It could also have been cancelled at the ward collation, because at the ward collation, remember when we finish the voting and the counting of the votes, and it's recorded in the result sheet from EC8A, which is the polling unit result sheet. Copies of that are given to party agents. It's also given to the security agents, and then the first 2 pages are taken with the beavers to the, before it's taken, they'll use the beavers and take a snapshot of that result sheet. And it is that snapshot that will be uploaded onto the INEC result viewing portal, IREV. So by the time they go to the ward collation, what the ward collation officer would first need to verify is how many people were accredited. So you will come with the beavers for that polling unit. They'll check the number that was accredited and check the number that you brought in the result sheet. Okay. And also what you've uploaded. That there is no overvoting, because at that point they can also cancel it. Okay. But for some reason, going by this judgment, that may have been missed also at that point. And so when the tribunal came to the finding of fact that there was more votes than accredited voters in certain polling units, they did the right thing by cancelling those. But like I said, this is subject to what the Court of Appeal and perhaps the Supreme Court would say in those cases. Okay, so 15 days to go. Are we good? Yes, we are good to go. We have the beavers machines are in place. We've tested them. We've test run them at some of them at the mock accreditation we had last Saturday, and we have begun the training of key officials for the election.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Oboifanga. Thank you for your time on Panorama.
Thank you.
We'll be taking a break now. Panorama continues shortly. Please stay with us.
Free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
Thank you for staying on. Away from election matters, a 29-member publicity committee has been inaugurated by the Minister of Information and Culture with a charge to ensure that Nigerians are adequately sensitized on the essence of the 2023 census exercise. Anthony Forsen reports.
Reached through a sustained, multidimensional and intensive campaign for the exercise to succeed.
The census is taking place close to the election period, when the din of campaign noise is loudest. We must therefore ensure that the electionary campaign does not hinder the sensitization of our people and find a deserved place for the census in national discourse.
The minister assured the commission of his ministry's readiness to support the campaign.
I am delighted to note that the Census Publicity Committee will be replicated in all states of the Federation as well as all local government areas. This is a bold step that will ensure that the census message gets to the grassroots.
Census as a people-oriented exercise, all residents in Nigeria must adequately be sensitized, the minister maintained.
Please note that it is not just enough for the people to be counted. They must understand why, when, where, and how they will be counted if we must secure their cooperation and support for the census.
In Abuja, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
Stakeholders in the world of athletics in Nigeria have challenged authorities involved to take proactive steps to stop the ugly trend of Nigerians involved in doping cases. This is sequel to the professional suspension of Nigerian sprinter Divine Oduduru by Athletics Integrity Unit for 2 anti-doping offenses a year after Blessing Okagbari's case.
It's a bad call on Nigerian team, and it's a bad call on Nigerian athletes.
I believe that it's a kind of indirect doping.
In football, with 20% of away wins, home teams in the Nigeria Professional Football League are in for another test this weekend. Enugu Rangers will welcome Doma United on Saturday. Same day, Abia Warriors will trade tackles with Wiki Tourist. Lobby Stars and Dakada will square up among other matches. In the CAF Champions League, 5-time champion Zamalek of Egypt will clash with CR Belouizdad of Algeria Friday at the Cairo International Stadium. From the English Premier League, league leaders Arsenal will this weekend have another opportunity to increase points when the team takes on Brentford. West Ham has a date with Chelsea as Crystal Palace host Brighton and Hove Albion. In another news, the National Institute for Sport is strategizing with new sets of intake, including former Nigeria #1 goalkeeper Peter Rufai, to take football to the next level.
sport as business, sport for health, sport for recreation, and sport for foreign, improve our foreign policy.
A clear vision and a clear understanding on how to deal with grassroots football development and also in other sporting areas.
Surpassing the country's previous records at international scene remains the institute focus. With sports update, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
And that's Panorama from Benin. Join NTA in the fight against drug abuse. Have a pleasant day.